You know the drill. Rise, repeat, retreat. We've done a bunch of divisions already. Check them out on YouTube or in the Yahoo app, wherever you get your Yahoo content. It's out there for you all over the places. We go through a different division every week. We figure out, do we feel better, worse, or the same from a year ago? So we're doing the AFC North, and the question is, right now, a year ago, how do we feel about this team versus how we feel about them today? One easy one I think we can put out there is that the Browns stink. Okay, now, this is where we're different, though. I thought the Browns were going to stink last year. You did not. Because I thought the Browns were going to stink last year, I'm on repeat for, even though everybody, I'm loud about, I don't think the Browns are going to be any good. I thought they were going to be terrible last year. So I think they finished 3-14, which is a little worse than I thought they finished last year. I think they're still a 5 or less win team. So I'm repeat for the Browns.
Yeah, I've obviously got to be retreat. I've eaten a lot of crow on how high I was on the Browns. I did back off it a little bit when all the reports on Deshaun Watson in August were bad, but still, I'll take that L. I thought the Browns were going to be pretty good last year. A lot of that was due to their defense, and their defense just fell off a cliff. And we're reminded defensive greatness from year to year is not always sticky. Like, so it varies a lot, and it did for the Browns. The one hope for the Browns is that the defense does bounce back to at least a top 10-ish level. And when you have Myles Garrett on your side, that can happen. And then maybe the Browns run the ball really well with 2 rookie running backs who come in, might just transform their offense. But man, their quarterback room is just, it's tough. Like, how can you get behind any of those guys? I don't know. Like, Dylan Gabriel, I guess, hasn't looked that great in OTAs. Shador, he fell for a reason. Joe Flacco's 40, and he was awful last year at the Colts. Kenny Pickett's never been that dude. Which of these quarterbacks, takes over and just leads them to a good season? I don't know who that could be. Their schedule is just awful. Like, if you could get them above 1-5 in their first 6 games, hats off to you, because I don't know how to do it. I don't know where the wins come. I think it's much better chance they're 0-6 after 6 games. Yeah, the Browns are going to be bad. Like, their only hope is they could be one of those, we're going to run the ball 40 times a game and play good defense and squeeze out some 16-13 wins. But even that, I don't know that you could win close games with a bad quarterback situation. So yeah, I think the Browns are going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL this year.
Yeah, Stefanski's going to earn his money this year. Where are you on the Bengals? Because a year ago right now, I was high on the Bengals. I did not expect their defense to be just a pile of hot doo-doo, and that's what it was for an entire season. So a year ago, I was higher on the Bengals than I am right now because I don't know that they've done, like, bringing in a new defensive coordinator is a step, but I still think that fixing the defense is a multi-year project, and I feel like they won 9 games last year. I thought they were going to be an 11-win team last year. I think they're sort of, I guess, I don't know, I'm a little lower on the Bengals today than I was a year ago.
Yeah, I'll go with repeat. If you read what I wrote about the Bengals last offseason, I will say I was in the camp of, it wasn't just all Joe Burrow's injury why this team didn't make the playoffs. Like, Jake Browning actually played pretty well for them. There were a lot of other things going on with the Bengals that I didn't like. It kind of manifested itself last year. The defense did fall off. And on the plus side for them, they lost a lot of close, weird games. I mean, losing to the Patriots week 1. I mean, this easily could have been a 10, 11 win team in the playoffs. We'd be having a totally different discussion about the Bengals. But I just don't know that they're that Super Bowl contender we all want them to be. Yes, they brought back T. Higgins. They paid Jamar Chase. Great for them, but it's basically the same team. Like, where have they improved? And the Trey Hendrickson thing, until that gets resolved, that's a minus for them. Look, maybe just new blood, a defense coordinator, replacing Lou Anarumo with Al Golden. Maybe that makes a big, big difference for this defense. Maybe just the bounces go their way this year when it didn't last year. But I think you're just asking way too much of Joe Burrow to carry this team. I don't like the infrastructure. I love their passing game, which is a great spot to start in the NFL. I don't really love anything else. I don't see them being the best team in this division by far. And I just don't see how we get them to be like this top 5 team that we all thought they might be. So I guess I'll just say repeat on the Bengals, but I was a little bit lower in the market last year on the Bengals anyway.
Yeah, to be clear, I would love for the Bengals to find their way to the playoffs. I think it's, I want Joe Burrow to go out there and crush it. It just hasn't happened from team construction. Ravens, I'm repeat. I'm a lot of repeats on this because I'm repeat on the Ravens. I thought they were going to be a Super Bowl contender last year. I think they're going to be a Super Bowl contender again this year. I don't think that's that complicated. The Ravens are in that conversation of top 3 or 4 teams in the league.
You know what? It's hard to do this because we were both high on the Ravens last year, right? And they played really great. I'm going to say rise on the Ravens because I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender. I think they're your Super Bowl champions this year. I think this Ravens team is ready to go win a Super Bowl. When you look at how well they played late last year, yes, they blew it against Buffalo. But good team. Like, there's no shame in losing to Buffalo in the playoffs on the road. I think this team is going to make sure they don't have those weird losses that they had early last year, like to your Raiders. I think this team just takes care of business from day one. I look at this team as like a 14-win, 15-win type of team. Look, if you, again, Pro Football Focus grades, the number one quarterback in the league last year, Pro Football Focus, was Lamar Jackson. The number one running back in the league last year from their grades was Derrick Henry. They have a dynamic duo that we've rarely seen. And yes, Derrick Henry's getting up there in age, but why would I bet against him now? He just keeps, he's made of steel. He's just different than everybody else. Derrick Henry is still a beast. Lamar Jackson deserved to be MVP last year. I think he's going to play at that exact same level this year. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks I've ever seen. The defense it improved by leaps and bounds in the second half last year. I think they carry that over. I trust John Harbaugh. This is my Super Bowl pick. I believe the Ravens will be the best team in the NFL this year, and I believe Lamar Jackson will finally win a Super Bowl.
We need to power rank the AFC soon because you're getting willy-nilly with these Super Bowl words that don't include Kansas City, my friend. Like, I just what you said.
I know. Regression's coming for Kansas City, though. We both know that.
Speaking of regression, I saved the most controversial for last. Pittsburgh Steelers finished 10-7 last year. Vegas has the over-under on this at a very safe 8.5. Where are you today on the Pittsburgh Steelers versus a year ago?
I just think they're a constant repeat where we'll just look up and we'll be like, yeah, okay, the Steelers are about 500. And I believe Aaron Rodgers is going to come be their quarterback. And he was not bad last year. Just in the second half of the season, he was pretty good. He's not going to be worse than Russell Wilson was last year. I just don't see where this team really takes a step back. I think the defense is still good. I think the running game, maybe Caleb Johnson gives them a little bit of a boost, where Najee Harris was just kind of a guy. Maybe Caleb Johnson's a little bit more dynamic. I think DK Metcalf is a upgrade over George Pickens. I just think the Steelers are who they are. Then they're going to be that way for a while. Mike Tomlin gets the most out of his teams. I think Aaron Rodgers plays well enough if he's their quarterback. Yes, if he doesn't sign, then yeah, Mason Rudolph, that gets a little scary. And they're probably a big retreat team. But I just think this is, and it's almost a bad thing in many ways that the Steelers are kind of the same team year after year. That they're just stuck in this rut where they're definitely not good enough to be a Super Bowl contender, but they are good enough to get in the playoffs and get over 500 and keep that Mike Tomlin streak alive. So I just think they're the same team year after year after year. They're that meme of the teacher coming in every day. I mean, that's who the Steelers are. They're going to be that way for a while too.
I am retreat big time on the Pittsburgh Steelers, big time. And to me, part of what you just talked about, Aaron Rodgers wasn't bad the back half of the season. So why were the Jets terrible? Aaron Rodgers on the field, look at the production overall, was not awful. But there are certain people, certain players that no matter what their production is, you got to ask, like, what else goes on around them? Why did everything around Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets last year become a cluster of awfulness? Why have they had to go in and essentially rebuild everything? And Aaron Rodgers did that last year with the offensive coordinator at the beginning of the year that he handpicked, with weapons that he handpicked. Like, all of these things, Jets fans at the time, when Aaron Rodgers was signed, Jets fans murdered me over and over and over again because I kept saying, I don't think you should rip apart the core to bring in who Aaron wants to bring in. That's not what we're doing. That's exactly what they did. And the results were there. I mean, the results for the Jets were proofs in the pudding. We know what it did. It tore the entire franchise apart. So to me, if what you're banking on is a 40-something-year-old quarterback to come in and be able to just be lights out, I don't think it's there. I mean, at the end of the day, as I said on this show a few weeks ago, Aaron Rodgers will be, at best, the third best quarterback in his own division next year for a team that, frankly, is in a tough division, in a tough spot, that isn't as talented as the Jets were across the board last year. I just think there's only so many mountains you can ask Tomlin to climb. And the unfortunate thing is the implosion of this, which is what I think is going to happen. They're going to have their first losing season, in my mind. It's finally going to happen under Mike Tomlin. And then Steelers fans are going to lose their minds screaming for Tomlin to get fired. And there's going to be this moment where the Steelers organization is going to have to figure out what they want to be for the next 10 years. I don't believe any of this falls on the feet of Mike Tomlin personally. I just think at some point you can only ask so much of a team that simply doesn't have a quarterback. And even if they sign Aaron Rodgers going into training camp and Aaron Rodgers comes into this thing, if you ask me to bet my house today on Aaron Rodgers being who he was at his prime for the course of an entire season to will the Steelers to victory, I don't think he can do it anymore. So now you've got this big just distraction in the room in every possible way that's playing quarterback for you on a team that has a lot of needs across the board that is yet again going to bank on their defense to carry them in a division that actually has really good football teams. Not just one. This isn't the Jets only taking on the Bills. This is the Steelers taking on multiple teams that belong in the playoffs. This all feels like a disaster waiting to happen for Pittsburgh. I think the thing goes off the rails. I think from day one, they're going to be skating. I am, for the first time in my entire media career as I've covered the Pittsburgh Steelers, this is the first time I've ever said it, I am out on the Steelers this year.
Betting against Mike Tomlin. It's not profitable. I'll put it that way. But you make good points. You make good points. Like it's easy to see a path where this goes really, really bad for the Steelers. But at some point, I'm out of the business on betting against Mike Tomlin. Like he'll find a way to get his team better than it should be, whether that's a good thing or bad thing for the Steelers long term.
Because you're right. I'm out of the business of betting on Mike Tomlin is a great quote. But what if my counter to that is I'm out of the business of betting on Aaron Rodgers?
That's fair. I mean, it did go bad last year. And last year with the Packers, we forget that was a pretty disappointing year too. So I get it. Like quarterbacks, Tom Brady threw off the scale. Quarterbacks don't age like this. Quarterbacks aren't good at age 42. One of them was. And I just think that Aaron Rodgers is going to be a very passable average quarterback for the Steelers this year. And I think that's going to be enough to keep them about 500. It's not like I have high hopes for this experiment. I just don't think the bottom drops out.
It'll be interesting to see because I'm trying quickly here to look at, before we get out of here, I'm trying quickly here to look at the last time that Aaron Rodgers didn't have a disappointing season in the eyes of most. Those 3 years, 19, 20, and 21, Green Bay went 13-3. Since then,
they blew it in the playoffs, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And since then, 8-9, which for Green Bay right now would get Jordan Love and everybody else in the heap in hot water. The injury, and then last year 5-12. So the last time that Aaron Rodgers had a season that everybody was like, yeah, man, Aaron Rodgers, 2021. That's a lifetime in the NFL. So we'll see how it plays out. You guys, we appreciate you listening. If you've listened this far, rate, review, subscribe. You know the drill. Makes a big difference for us if you go ahead and write a review out there. Helps everybody see the show and helps everybody know what we're up to. In the meantime, we got to thank everybody behind the scenes, especially Stone. Stone's sick today. Still came in. Still did the work. I think he just wanted to celebrate my birthday with me. And follow us on social media at Yahoo Schwab, at Jason Fitz. We'll be back next Tuesday. We're not going anywhere. There is no offseason for inside coverage because there's no offseason for the NFL. So have a great week. Hang out with us next week. We appreciate you.